Jay here from Full-Time Devils.
Hi,
Joining
Jay.
me today, hi mate, is Stephen Howson, and this is the inaugural episode of There's No Denying. Now what this is where me and Steve today debate our opinion over certain issues regarding Manchester United, and the first one is everyone's favourite player, Ashley Young. Now, at the time of recording, it looks like Ashley Young is about to leave Manchester United. So the question is, how will he be remembered? Now, I've been through some of mine and your tweets because, strangely, we've both got different opinions on this. I think Ashley Young has been a great servant, has been a useful player, and has been a leader of men. Steve, let's just say he doesn't think that. So I'm going to go through a couple of the tweets. We haven't got time for more. We'll be here all day. And this one is from 2000.
When you've brought to it felt like a disciplinary of some sort.
Got a piece of paper here.
I've got all these tweets
sit
here
down,
from
yeah.
you.
I want to sit down and
fucking hell, this can't be good, can it?
Explain this. This is August 2014. And this is Steve replying to someone. It doesn't matter what he was replying to. You'll get the gist of it. He's, meaning Ashley Young, the actual worst excuse for a footballer I've ever seen. I'll even tag the something so he sees it.
Shit, couldn't have said.
And then he tags him in it. So I'm going to tell Steve why I think that's wrong and he can explain why it's right. Now, Steve, granted this was 6 years ago or 5.5 years ago, but Young had already won a title with us. He'd already played a lot of games for us. He'd scored some important goals for us. The worst excuse for a footballer I've ever seen, and this is the point I'm going to make here with Ashley Young. Yes, Ashley Young has had bad games for Manchester United. I'm not denying that, right? Yes, he probably hasn't been good enough for, I'd argue, 18 months. I know you're going to say a lot longer, but you're going back 6 years here, and you're saying...
Hang on, you're saying 18 months in 2014?
No, because that would probably be since he signed. You're saying he's the worst excuse for a footballer I've ever seen, and that's where I think the problem is with Young. I think the criticism he gets is OTT. Like that. He's not, though, is he? He's not the worst excuse for a footballer you've ever seen. Or even then he wasn't, was he?
I will say he's the worst player to make as many appearances as he's had in a United shirt.
Right. Now, you're saying that, okay.
Which is, let me get it up.
I think he's made around 200 appearances.
Well, more.
Is it more? Sorry. You can see we've well researched this with bits of paper and impromptu stats. Yeah, good lad. I'm glad you went down to the bottom there.
261 appearances.
Right. Around 200. Right. Now, you're saying he's the worst excuse for footballer I've ever seen. He's played for how many different managers? Well, all of the managers since Fergie. From Fergie to Ollie. They've all picked him. He's played in a variation of positions. If he's that bad, how come he keeps getting picked? Hey, how come he's won trophies? He's won...
Those are questions I ask
often,
often,
the Premier
Jay.
League, he's won the FA Cup, he's won the Europa League, he's won the League Cup. We don't count the Charity Shield. So he's won a decent amount of trophies. He's played over 250 games for Manchester United Football Club. Sir Alex Ferguson bought him and played him consistently. Is he really the worst footballer you've ever seen? Or is that not just a little bit of hyperbole because you don't really like him?
You're probably right that there might be a little bit of... Look, and also, you've got to remember, this is Twitter.
Yeah, I get it. And this is the argument I have with everyone about Steve, why we're friends. If you meet him, he's all right.
Most of what I say on Twitter, I will go with whatever I think is the funniest thing to say over necessarily what the true thing to say is, right? Yeah. Now, with Ashley Young, there is some element of truth. Is he the worst excuse for a footballer I've ever seen? No, because I've occasionally watched non-league, right?
Talk about dabbing with faint praise.
Right? So I have watched some non-league. There's also some players that I see in the Premier League that I just go, you're fucking Titus Bramble. For starters, how did Titus Bramble ever become a professional footballer? Anyway, it's Ashley Young we're talking about. My Young thing, and this is, what's funny is like, this is before I was doing, or is it? This is around about the time I started on Full-Time Devils, actually.
Just to add something here. This is from 2014. I could have gone back earlier. There were tweets from, like, 2013. I think, there might even be tweets when he was at fucking Watford. Where you were flagging him off. So...
Hey, Joe, you go back into my tweets and look for Pogba and stuff like that. There's Pogba from first time round. Me going, now someone's gone. Pogba will get his chance. Clever will get his chance. Half right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, no. Is he the worst excuse for a footballer I've ever seen? No. Is he abysmal to have played 260 fucking 1 games. Yeah, and sometimes he's played 30 Premier League matches sometimes. In the last 3 years, that's twice. That's happened.
Right. So, my question then on that is, do you stand by that comment?
No. He's not the worst excuse of a footballer that I've ever seen, but always there to own up to my opinions, and I fucking tagged him like I fucking said I would. And knowing what me and you know now, there's a good chance he read that.
No, I'm sorry. I stuck up for your son. I did. Right, go on.
Okay, so let's pull out
mine.
One of Jay's from the disciplinary corner. It says, deserves standing ovation for @Youngie18 today.
He likes it as well, by the way. He liked this tweet.
Talk about putting a shift in, just because you've got the same barber. This is from October the 28th, 2017. That's when he played 30 games that season.
I think that was against Spurs, if memory serves. My point there is, the reason I've pulled that out is, there's now this sort of revisionist attitude towards Young that A, he's never had a good game, B, he's always been rubbish, that he's an abomination, he should never have played for Manchester United. Now, I'm going back there a couple of years where he's been clapped off the pitch after a great game. He's had good games for Manchester United. That's why so many managers have picked him. That's my point. That's what I'm arguing. But would you say...
No, I'm not going to sit here and say, Jay, he never had a good game. He has scored some belters. I think I don't think he scored a tap-in. When he scored, they've been a rocket, all of them. But he would cut inside, or he would take a free kick, thinking that was going to happen every time. And that wouldn't happen every time. I had issues with his crossing. I had issues with his shooting. I got no problem with players putting a shift in. Hard work is one of the first things that I'll go for. But when that was the only thing, and before everyone starts going, that's all you say about Lingard. No, it's not. Lingard does have extra things to his game. He's been shite this season. Let's not make no bones about it. But there were things to his game where I saw what was happening with him. With Young, the fact that he was always brought up as a senior player, and that's, to be fair, where Lingard is now. I don't see Lingard making the on-field decision-making mistakes that I see Young making. You could always rely on him to lose possession. You could always rely on him to put in a cross, which I felt was detrimental to what our attack was doing. If you go and watch the players off the ball when Young was putting a cross in, especially when he'd come off the left-hand side, he'd stand his man up, and he would feint to go on the outside, and then he would come onto the inside. But if you look at the strikers would move, expecting the cross to come, and then they would have to come back out and reset. And then by the end of it, and you go, why is there no movement in United's attack? Because they've reset 3 times, and they're just fucking going just past the bastard.
Do you know what? It's so weird, because I'll give you one thing, you're consistent. When I was digging out these old tweets, I also dug out our end-of-season review from 2015, and that's pretty much word for word what you'd said about Young, because I'd stuck up for him again.
But that's him as a player.
Yeah, I'd claimed he was our best outfield player that season. You obviously didn't agree, and that was the point you made. Obviously, that's one performance. I'm standing by that tweet, but the point I was making is he has had some good games, and, as you admitted, that's not the issue for you. It's
it was the consistency of him. Because when he was bad, he was awful. Like, especially recently, like, we all love a shithouse foul. Brandon Williams at the minute is on his way to becoming a cult hero because of the shithouse foul, I think, at times. But Young would do it in mad areas. Young would do it and give free kicks away around the edge of the box, and you're like... People used to tell me he was an experienced player, and I wanted to headbutt walls, because you're like, for me, an experienced player, when I was growing up, it was Brian Robson. That was an experienced player. Experienced player. For me, that is another word for good decision making, knowing the right thing to do at the right time. Not necessarily about gobbing off. It was about being the person that had the right decision making, or could tell a young player that maybe grab hold of a Pogba and go, they can't fucking handle you. Kill them with this game. Yeah. Or keep it simple. Right, Joe, let's say Rashford blazes one over the fucking bar. You go and say, fucking go and hit it again, and hit it as hard.
Yeah.
Joe, that's what I think an experienced and leader of a player does. I don't see that from Ashley Young, which is actually contrary to some of the things that I hear about. I hear excellent things about what he's like off the pitch, but what I see on the pitch is just plainly not good enough.
Second one. Again, this is going back some years, but I could have picked... There was so many. I literally could have picked... I just did a search and I just did Howson and Young, and there was like 5 million tweets that came up. So this is you again replying to someone else. This is to Busby MUFC. Young is the worst footballer at the club. My nanny's lovely, but she can't play footy for toffee. I think the comment there was that he's been in the crowd, he's a nice guy and all the rest of it. But you're saying that you're not having any of that.
I stand exactly by that. What one was this? 2014.
Right. She's standing by that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Young's the worst footballer at the club, and my nan is lovely, but she can't play footy for toffee.
So the one about him being the worst you've ever seen, probably a bit too harsh, but the one in worst at the club at that time, you would
Can't remember off the top of my head 6 years ago. But
yeah, you would argue that you're standing by that.
Stand by that.
Right, here's one that me and
Let me read this one out.
Go on, sorry, it's your turn to read it out.
Says a lot about our team, but Ashley Young is probably the nearest thing United have got to an actual leader. Puts a shift in. Like,
hang on a minute, there's more than that. Than just that. If that was it, then fair enough.
Mo Farah had put a fucking shift in,
yes,
Jay.
I think you replied that at the time. You're very consistent with these jibes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, go on.
It's because it's real.
Yeah.
Keeps world-class wingers quiet and is constantly in the ear of his teammates and the ref. Deserves his new deal. Deserves his new deal.
Right. For starters, I will say one thing there. Yeah? I think, if memory serves, that was just after he'd kept Mo Salah quiet. So, at the time, he was on fire. And it was Young versus Salah, and he did his job. His job was to keep Mo Salah quiet, and he did that.
He did.
You mentioned his leadership qualities. Now, I've even started this with a caveat. It says a lot about our team. So it's not universal praise. I've not said our team is
Mount
wonderful.
Rushmore United. We've got Roy Keane. We've got Bobby Charlton. Ashley Young. No?
No. But then again, I get where you're coming from.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. No. No.
But
no.
My point was that this was 2018, that he's probably the nearest thing we had to a leader. And this is why, again, I feel like it's not his fault.
What the fuck does that mean, Jay?
Because he's showing leadership qualities. He's doing what you'd expect him to do. He's the only one that is. Who else is a leader in that team? And in 2018, we had experienced players. We had players that had played 9-10 seasons in the Premier League who literally said, fuck all, during a game to anyone. Who would never, and even like the little things like moaning the ref, and what a bit of that, getting the refs here.
I know, but Jay, if you put me, right, in a very well-fitted kit, right, and I'm standing in the middle of the pitch...
I reckon you and Ashley Young could fit in the same kit.
I don't. I reckon me and Luke Shaw could. But if I'm standing in the middle of the pitch...
You just ruined someone's comment. Someone's about to comment that, and you've just ruined it like, you know. He beat me to it.
If I'm standing in Luke Shaw's position with some super tight-fitting shorts, right, I can fucking gob off as much as I want.
Yeah.
But the fact that anyone can turn around to me and go, but you're shit. And, yeah, that's the thing. Roy, that guy... Right? That fucking crazy arsehole there, right?
Yeah.
When he was maintaining standards on the pitch, Roy Keane goes, fucking make sure it gets there next time.
Yeah.
Are you even thinking, hang on, mate, you just put 3 in the crowd. What are you on about? You're not, are you? You're going, okay, Roy. Right. When Ashley Young goes, hey, make sure that cross makes its man. Do I have to pull up some fucking photographs from Mr. Stephen Howson's account here where you've had 0 out of 11 crosses? 11? If you tried anything 11 times and was not successful, you wouldn't do it again, would you? 11.
Just trying to think,
and it was often.
Think about my shoplifting career. No, you don't. How many times I get nicked? No.
But that's the, and that's the decision making that I'm on about.
I know. I get it. I'm sort of going to half stand by that. My point about that is the team had dropped to them levels. And you know,
to be honest, out of them 261, I think Luke Shaw was missing for more games than he's played for the club. And most of them appearances, because obviously the 30 games in the league back-to-back, that came when Luke Shaw was injured.
Yeah. And also, you know, regardless of what you say, he was playing on the left-back position. He went to the World Cup, didn't he, at the end of 2017, 2018, because, as you mentioned, Shaw was injured, then came back, didn't get his place back. So I don't think there was like an abundance of left-backs, but Young made that spot is for that season. Right, final one. This is between us both. Give me one reason this lad shouldn't start on Sunday. I'm wondering who that's about. Name one left-back in our club capable of this. Young can't even do this on FIFA. And then you put end of the season, like left-back spot is his. We know who he's talking about when he's praising the left-back there.
And I'll fucking right.
I swear.
And I'll fucking...
Yeah, you're right. It's about Brandon Williams. The reason I picked this out, Young can't even do this on FIFA. But the reason I point this out is... I mean,
Jay, he fell over his own fucking feet doing a fucking Cruyff turn in the new camp. A Cruyff turn. Right, do you know what? I'm not a fucking elite footballer. I know that's a shock. Just shut up, right? if I'm going to do a Cruyff turn, I'm doing it when I can touch someone, because that's when the move's effective. You can't quite see what I'm about to do, and I'm doing it where you're that close that I can get an edge on you and get away. That's the whole point of that sort of move. He did it with someone 7 metres away, where they just watched what he did and adjusted themselves, so he fell over his own fucking feet and they took the ball off him. What the fuck? And he literally couldn't do it on FIFA.
Right. I get where you're coming from. I don't agree you can't do it on FIFA, right? But that was Barcelona away, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, right. Jay. Yeah, in the new camp.
And I remember me and you speaking, right, after the first leg, where you were almost looking like a rabid dog when anyone mentioned Ashley Young's name because he had a stinker, and I agreed with you. He had, at right back, he'd had a stinker. So what did you do a week later? Play him at left back in the new camp against Barcelona. That's part of the problem. Ashley Young isn't a cause of our issues, he's a symptom of it. That we've got a 34-year-old converted winger who can't play at right back, let alone left back at that age, against Barcelona, against Burnley's struggle, but we're going to put him in the new camp and then wonder why he fucks up and then go, oh, Ashley Young, well, hang on a minute. Why did you fucking pick him? What did you expect?
Ultimately,
you called it.
He's also
paid. Football manager. So why does the manager not culpable for that?
He's also paid £100 a week to make better decisions than that on a football pitch.
But then again, you know, you say, yeah, he's played a lot of money. Okay, I get that. He should be making better decisions. He's experienced. But if you're struggling anyway, you're up against it. You've just had a stinker against Barcelona, and then the gaffer says to you,
I know what'll get this game going. I'm going to stick you in.
I'm going to stick you in at the new camp on your less favoured position. You're going to be all over the gaff. And he was. So that was my point with that one, is I think that's a little bit harsh.
You think... Hang on.
He can't even do that on FIFA.
What was the video? It's I think it's Williams taking 2 people on with like 2 touches in the opposition third from left back. No, Young can't do that on FIFA. And the fact that I've gone end of the season, that left back spot is his, I swear. Have you read the comments in reply to it?
No.
Telling me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. But I think again,
if I'm not wrong, then what am I?
Right. The point of this is
case closure. On.
The point of this
no further questions.
We've been waiting for far too long.
Yeah, we have.
Because Shaw's not been up to it for years. Rojo, forget about it. Tuanzebe's been out on loan. He's not really a left back anyway.
No, he's not.
The other kids are too young. So we've been waiting. Now we've finally got one. And that's why I think, to round all this up, I think Young will be remembered fondly by Manchester United fans. And I think we can look back and say, OK, he wasn't the best left back we've ever had.
Look, let me get 5 years clear of this.
He did OK.
And I'll say what I generally say about all players that have managed to get a couple of 100 games at United.
Yep.
That, you know, you've represented the club for a long time.
Yeah.
And they deserve some level of respect for it. However, Jay,
go on.
If the actions of him in the last week are to be believed, and the fact that he was nowhere near any bench all
we'll
week.
See. Yeah, we'll see at the time of recording. At
the time of recording,
and I will give him. I'm not saying this because I'm sticking up for the guy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't genuinely believe everything I read in the Italian press. I'm just saying that. I'm just putting that on there.
That's a good move. That's probably that's a good stance to probably have. But if there's any truth to the fact that he's gone, I'll never play for this club again, and don't even put me on the bench, then he can get to fuck, and I'll take him to the airport myself, Jay.
Yes, maybe truer than you think. This has been the inaugural episode of There's No Denying. Get involved in the comments, let you know what you think. Steve's made his comments on Ashley Young quite clear. I've made mine. Let us hear what you think. That's been Stephen Howson. You know where to find him. He's on Stretford Paddock. He's on Stephen Howson. He's on doing all sorts of bits. And you can see me on Full Time Devils. I've been Jay. Thanks for watching.